I was going to use TikTok because TikTok's better for recording videos. They sound better and look better, but they have the time limit. And so I got to go with something else. And I know you don't like to listen or watch something long, so I'm sorry. One of the things I really don't like is how the world has made people focus less and less, and be able to focus less and less and less. Before, people would read books, long books, no problem. And there's people that still like to read books. But ever since Twitter came out in 2006, people, when they get in a conversation, they got so used to typing only a small amount and then sending it. And that caused so many problems because people, you can't really express yourself that well. And that's why people would get angry and fight with each other, because you can only send these little bursts of messages. And I hate that. I really hate it. But the younger people, that's what they grew up with. So they're used to it. But the world is trying to condition us to be stupid. That's what the world wants, so they can control us. The governments will unite. And you've seen the Matrix, right? That's what they want eventually. They want to use us for data collection, power, whatever. And all these people going along with, oh, I can't read more than 100 words at a time. Oh my God. Wake up. Oh, I can't listen to something that's 10 minutes long. Oh my God. Really? And then when you have a friend trying to explain something that's very important, I can't listen to something that's 11 minutes long. Really? You can't. To save your friendship, you can't do that. That's what it's telling me. You don't care about our friendship. If I took the time to make it, even if you're upset, you should take the time to listen. And listen with an open mind. But you don't. To me, I have this vision of your dad because of what you told me about him. And I feel like when you get upset, you become your dad. That vision that you gave me of him, that's what you've become. You become a little bit mean, and you say things that are kind of mean. And it's hurtful. Now, when I said something that hurt you, I didn't try to hurt you. That wasn't the point. But I feel like it's your point to hurt me. When I was growing up, my grandmother was the one that helped teach me some things. When we went to the park one time, there were some kids, teenagers. I was like 9 or 10. And there were some kids there, teenagers, and they were cursing. And my grandmother said, do you know why they're cursing? And this is back in the 70s. As we've gone through time, now kids curse all the time and nobody thinks anything about it. But back then, kids away from home would curse if they were low class. But my grandmother said the reason why they're cursing is because they're not smart enough to come up with the words to express themselves. And she also said, your word can't be taken away from you. Your imagination can't be taken away from you. And I took it upon myself later to realize your integrity can't be taken away from you. You can only give it those things up. You might want to look up the word integrity, but I do have a problem with you not understanding even when you look things up, because you looked up critical thinking. And you say the words, but I can tell by what you say, you don't really understand what critical thinking is. And maybe you need to watch Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock. If you don't know how to spell it, ask me. But it's Sherlock Holmes. 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 And if you watch him, you'll get the idea, the essence of what critical thinking really is. Because that's his whole thing. Critical thinking, when you used it and you said, I guess you turn it off and on. Why do you turn it off and on? When you have the ability to do critical thinking, when you've reached the point where you can use critical thinking, it's not something you turn off and on. It's something that's a part of you. And about the video, it's probably something else, not critical thinking that you're trying to say. But in your mind, you feel like critical thinking equals whatever it is you're trying to say. But you need to understand that's not critical thinking. So we need to figure out what you're trying to say exactly. Now, I know you were expecting me to do more research. That's not critical thinking. You probably were thinking that I was being, what's the word? Hold on. Okay, you probably thought I was being prejudiced towards Palestinians or Muslims, but I wasn't. But critical thinking, now, the only part of critical thinking that could have been used is if you were trying to determine, why did she come up there to speak? She didn't say exactly, well, she had a question. But even that question doesn't really tell us, was she trying to trick him? Was she trying to bait him? Did she have another reason why she went up there to speak? This would entail critical thinking. There's a mystery. There's something that's not said or done. Not said or done at all. But you look at the things that are said to figure out the things that aren't said, the mystery to it. And when she said, I'm for it, there's no mystery there. Either he baited her and trapped her, or she really meant it. Either way, there's no critical thinking. Critical thinking doesn't mean you get it right, or you listen to it and process it until you understand it and make the right decision. That's not critical thinking. So that's why I said there's no critical thinking needed about that part. And that's the part I was talking about. I didn't care why she decided to come up there. And I don't think you did either. But that's the only thing where critical thinking could possibly, and that's kind of iffy, but that's the only place critical thinking could be used. So if you don't understand why, then you don't really understand critical thinking. And watching Sherlock Holmes, if you watch it enough, there's not the movie, TV shows, episodes. When you watch enough episodes, then eventually you'll understand. You'll see it. Light bulb will go off and you'll be like, oh, that's what critical thinking is. You can think of it like a mystery that needs to be solved. And you've got to look at all the different clues to solve the mystery. Now, if it's said, and you just got to determine, are you right or wrong, that has nothing to do with critical thinking. That's not a mystery. If you think that is, then you're way down on the intellectual level. But you really need to try to understand what critical thinking is. And you telling me that I wasn't using critical thinking, you're either trying to hurt me or trap me into something. And it's all because when anybody says anything about Palestine, if it's not something you agree with or something you like, you pinpoint on that and you get really upset and you focus on it. And like, why did you say that? Even if you misunderstood, you don't care. That's a big problem. And when I say becoming, you become stubborn, I'm not trying to hurt you by saying that. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. What does the word stubborn mean? It means you don't care. You're not going to change your mind. You're going to stick with it, and you don't care about anything else. That's what you're going to stick with. That's called being stubborn. And you do that every single time we've had something. Whether the first time when I was saying, if something, then this, you got really stubborn. You didn't care what I was really saying. You heard this, and since you heard it, that must be exactly what it means. Well, that means a couple things. Your English needs, your understanding of deeper speaking needs improvement. But also, you need to learn how to realize that you're not always right. And you need to understand that if you could be wrong. And that's the one thing that my mom said, that, I didn't get along with my mom, and she was very mean. But one thing that she said has stuck with me, and it's true. She said, only fools are positive. Because there's always a chance that you could be wrong. And if you don't think you could be wrong, you're foolish. And I think that's something you need to learn. And yes, this is taking a bit, but do you care about our friendship? Because there's several things that need to be covered. The first time I said I was making an example. I was going to try to make an example so that you could understand what was going on. So I said, if you said something to me and left it there where everybody could see it, then the person would find it. And you said, why would I leave it there? I didn't do that. And I was like, no, I didn't say you did. Yes, you did. You said I left it there. And then you tried to say, okay, let's forget about it. No, you can't forget about something like that, because you're wrong. And if you keep that in your mind, you're going to even consider it later that you were right. You need to understand and come up with a solution. On that one, I said, if you were to do something, because I was making an example, something that wasn't real. And I was trying to make an example so that you could understand what was going on with somebody else. Somebody else was doing something. And then I was saying, well, okay, think about it. If you did this, then this, right? I didn't do that. I didn't say you did. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. You were so sure that I said that. Yassin, you have to sometimes realize you might get something wrong. And you need to figure out, if somebody's telling you that's not so, where did you get it wrong? Don't let your ego or your pride make you lose a friend, or make you get something wrong, or make you hurt somebody deeply, just because you're not willing to say, oh, maybe I made a mistake. I guess you don't like making mistakes. Me, if I make a mistake, I own it. I do. But if I'm not owning it, that's because I don't believe I made it. And just sweeping it under the rug, okay, I'll let that one go. No, that doesn't work. That's even worse. That's even worse. If you want to be my friend, when there's things that happen, I'm not saying I'm right all the time. And just say I'm right. I'm not saying that. I'm saying talk it out until both of you can agree and understand. You need to both be able to understand the situation. So when you sent me the text of what I said, the part about Hitler, I already said, see, when I say something and I admit to something, don't bring it up again. Don't say, oh, you said Hitler. I already admitted that I made a mistake there. Don't bring it up again. That's not right. Once somebody admits that they were wrong about something, drop that part off. Leave it alone forever. Because they admitted to it. You grabbing them by the back of the head and rubbing their nose in it is not nice. You said that. Yeah, I did. And then I admitted I was wrong. Did you not catch that part? Oh, you want me to keep admitting that I was wrong? How many times do you want me to keep saying I was wrong? Do you feel good about it? Really, that's what you make me feel like. You notice I gave in to that pretty easily. When you told me what she meant by Hitler, what did I do? I listened to you, and I realized, okay, I was wrong, and I admitted it. Anytime you show me I'm wrong, I'll admit to it, and I'll take up responsibility for it. But just because you think I'm wrong doesn't mean I'm wrong. And so if you say I'm wrong about something and I don't admit to it, that means I really don't believe I'm wrong. And you're probably missing something. And if you can show me exactly how I'm wrong, then now if I say, okay, you're missing something there still, then you need to look at what you might be missing. But if you can show me clearly, and that's what it was exactly, I'll admit to it. But when you said that I was making excuses, no. Now, you said I was making excuses with Siri, with that text that I had mentioned, and I was talking about because you didn't pay attention and you weren't willing to. You were way wrong. Really wrong, in a bad way. I had tried to make that audio 6 or 7 times, and I was getting frustrated because Siri kept making mistakes. And then if I paused it and then tried to start it again, it completely disappeared. And I'm like, oh, I gotta do it over again. And I hate doing it over because sometimes I forget. What did I cover? And so I was just complaining about Siri in those 6 times that I was making it. And you assumed I was complaining about Siri, about the text that you took a screenshot of and sent it back. That's not what I was talking about. You were wrong, and you need to accept that. And you should apologize for it. I was explaining about the text message that I sent you, that you sent back to me. You sent it back to me, so you thought it was saying this. And so I wanted to explain exactly what I meant so that there wasn't any misunderstanding. I wasn't making excuses. I was explaining the text line by line. Each thing I said, I was explaining it. Because sometimes you get the wrong idea. And I wanted to make sure we were on the same page. And if we get on the same page and you still think I'm wrong, then if you show me that, okay, this is why I think you're wrong, then maybe we just disagree on something. And if we disagree, then we disagree. But when you cannot articulate, express why you say I'm wrong, that's a problem too. Maybe it's a language barrier. I don't know, but we need to get past it. This whole answer me quickly, that's a trick used by people who are usually wrong and mean and manipulative. Usually. That's not good. If you never want to let the other person express themselves, you got a problem. Now, you said, I did this, I did this, I said this, I said this. Sometimes you're a little bit wrong. And when you're a little bit wrong, it gives you a completely wrong idea. And I wanted to, because the words you say, I know if I did something like that or not. And when I'm looking at it, no, I couldn't have done that. But you're saying I did that. So I need to remember what was said exactly, so that I can see where the mistake was made by you or me. And so I have a problem. Even if it was last week, I have a problem with recall. And I was trying to explain that to you, and you're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that. Your excuses, those are just excuses. I don't want to hear it. Oh my God. If you say that one more time, we're done. You say it one more time and we're done. I need you to understand me, so that when things are said, you understand why I say I'm not making excuses. When you tell me I did something, and I can't remember exactly what was said, but I need to remember exactly what was said. I have a process to remember. You saw The Good Doctor, or you told me you saw it, and he visualizes things. And so that's what I do. I visualize things, but I tie in data to visual things. And so when I'm trying to figure out what was said, I got to throw out visual ideas. I got to say things. I've got to describe something that may have happened. And to you, that sounds like an excuse. But in my process, it's not an excuse, it's a method. It may not be what happened, but I'm throwing things out there because I don't remember exactly. So I say, okay, this is probably what happened. Okay, probably this, probably that. I'm throwing out things because when I get the right thing, boom, it brings back all my memories. All the memories flood in, like, and I've got them all back. I know what I said, I know what I did. But until then, it's like I can't see it. So I throw things out there. Laz, can I help me develop this? My friend Laz. He was like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about things. Did you do this? Did you think this? And I'm like, no, what about this? And he'd be like, okay, did you think this? Did you do this? Did you think about that? No. And then one time he said something, and boom, all my memories came back in. And I'm like, this is good. This is what I need to do. So I do it with myself. I throw things out there. And I use you in this situation too, because I was used to Laz. I'd started with Laz, and he'd feed it back to me until I could recall whatever it is that we had been talking about. See, Laz was a good friend, and he realized my issue, and he worked with me on it. So when it's just me, I come up with ideas. Did I do this? Was it this? Okay, maybe it was this. Maybe it was that. And then when I get the right one, boom, they all flood back in, all the memories. So it may sound like garbage, but it's part of my process. And it's a necessary part of my process so that I can get to the memory that was exactly what happened. Then I can shove all that garbage aside and say, now, okay, forget all of that. That was just a process to get my memory to come back. We don't need that anymore because I have my memory now. This is what happened. And when I can tell you, I know this is what happened and this is what you thought you heard and this is why you were a little bit wrong because this is what I meant. I meant this, blah, blah, blah. And I try to make examples so that you can understand a little bit better of what I meant. I know what I said. It's you that don't know exactly what I said. And you need to know that I have integrity. I don't have an ego problem. You seem to have an ego problem because nobody else can be right, just you. That's an ego problem. That's a you problem. And you need to get over it if you want to become a better person. I'm just saying. And if that hurts you, okay, tough love. You need to become better in that area, really. And I'm sorry if that hurts, because it's the truth. You really grab a hold of something and you don't care what anybody says. I heard this. This is what I'm going to believe. Sometimes you hear something and the way you think about it is wrong. You can say something a couple different ways to make you think differently. Just change a little bit and it's a whole different thing. And you hear it and the way you think, you're sure that you're getting it entirely correct. And that's what you need to fix. And I keep coming back to it because you really do it too much. We've had 3 issues, and all 3 times you've done it. And you get very sure of yourself, and you're so sure, and then everybody else is wrong. Everybody else is wrong. Really? Everybody else is always wrong about it. That's where you have a big issue. Just saying, if you want to be better, a better person, fix that. I've gone through it in my life, and I've fixed those things. And that's why I know I don't need to make excuses. I don't need to lie. I don't need to make excuses. If I don't want to say something, I just say I don't want to say it. I don't want to go there. Let's not talk about that. So if you don't want something, you just say, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to do this or that. But you don't lie. You don't make excuses. And I'm not making excuses. And I'm hoping you understand that. So, if you're saying something and I'm telling you what you think are excuses, they're reasons, real reasons. And if you don't understand that, then I don't know what to say. My back itches. I know this is a 30-minute video so far, and I'm sorry, but we really need to fix some things between us. If you think I'm making excuses, you really need to look deeper. You need to try to see what you might have missed Because if you really think I'm making excuses, you've missed something somewhere. And if I were you, I would ask myself, what did I miss? He doesn't make excuses. What do I not understand about his reasons? And if you care, you'll try to figure that out, not let it slide. I hate that so much. Oh, I'll let it slide this time. No, don't let it slide. If I'm wrong, then let's find out why I'm wrong so I can understand, so I can fix it. I'll fix anything that needs to be fixed. That's where I am in life. If I'm wrong, and you can show me I'm wrong, I'll fix it. But if I'm not admitting that I'm wrong, there's two reasons. Maybe I'm not wrong, or maybe you just haven't shown me in the right way. And you need to consider the first one. Don't just think you're right. So we need to go back over this and fix it so that you understand and I understand. I need to understand why you get so sensitive about Palestinians. Anytime anybody says something about Palestinians, it's like, no, you can't say that. You can't have that opinion. You can't believe that. You can't say that. Why? We all have faults. Jewish people have faults. Palestinian people have faults. You have faults. I have faults. We can't talk about it? If we can't, that's a problem. Why can't we? So, figure out what you really want. If you really want to be friends, you need to understand these things about me. And if you think I'm not telling the truth, then we might as well not be friends anyway, because why would you want to be friends with somebody who doesn't tell you the truth? If I'm not actually telling you the truth, if all I can do is make excuses, why do you want to be friends with that person? Well, I'm not that person. But I'm just saying, if I were that person, why would you want to be friends? See, I said the word if. Do you understand what the word if does in a sentence? If means could be that, it could be that. Am I making an example, or am I saying something that's real? Which one is it? So, I've got a problem with my skin itching. And that's what happens when you get older. You get some areas of your body that just itch, and you can't get rid of it. So yeah, I have some spots in my body that just itch. Anyway. So, do you want to fix this or not? So, about the Palestinian, I don't know where she's from. I don't know why I just said Palestinian. I don't know where she's from. That girl that said, for it. When I was 18, in America, before, I don't know about now if it's the same, but before, if you signed up to vote, you could be called to serve jury duty. And the reason why people don't want jury duty is because they do pay you for your time, but they only pay you like it's a joke. It's like not even paying you. It's like, at that time, it's what they would have paid you 1 hour for work, but maybe you spent 3 or 4 days. Like they give you $6. What the hell is $6 gonna do? Here, at the time, you could buy a hamburger. Maybe. Now, you can barely buy a hamburger with that. But you might serve 3 days, you might serve 2 weeks, you might serve a month. Still only $6. They're trying to change that now. Trump is trying to change that. But yeah, that's what, and so people don't want to be on the jury. For me, at the time, I don't know. I lacked experience. I didn't understand the world. I got chosen to be on a jury. And it was about a lady that she was on probation. She had already been caught dealing drugs and doing drugs. And she'd gone to jail before, and she was out of jail on probation. When you get out of jail, if you did something really bad, then you have a period of time where they watch you. And if you don't do this for 90 days, 6 months, whatever the probation chant, it might be 3 years probation, whatever the judge said, whatever that time length is, you have to abide by certain rules. Well, the lady, it was a black lady, and she was out on probation, and she couldn't be around people that did drugs. She couldn't do drugs, all these things. Well, she was caught selling drugs. And when she was called to the stand to give her testimony, oh, she cried. I really didn't do it. Someone came up and they gave it to me, and I didn't want it. And then that's when the cops came, and I didn't want it, and they caught me with it, and they wanted to take me back to jail. And I fell for it. I believed her. I was like, why would she cry that much? She really meant it. And everybody else was, dude, you're naive. She didn't, she was just trying to trick you, and it worked. She tricked you. Everybody knew what she was doing except for me. It was because I was young, and I didn't know how things worked. Now that I'm older, when I look back at it, oh, she was guilty. She was guilty as hell. When I look back at it, she was guilty. But at that time, I was standing my ground because they couldn't make a decision without everybody agreeing. Everybody had to agree. And I kept saying, no, I'm not going to make her go back to jail just because y'all think she did something. She really didn't. Did you see her? She really was torn up about it. And couldn't that have happened like that? And they're like, no, it didn't happen like that. We're so sure of it. She was selling drugs. They caught her before, and then they watched her. She was selling drugs. And I'm like, and finally one guy was like, okay, if we don't agree, they're going to call a mistrial. And then what if she sells drugs to somebody and they kill somebody innocent? How are you going to feel? And I was like, not good. And they said, that's what you're doing. You could be putting a guilty lady back on the street, and somebody could die, and it would be your fault. And I was like, I don't want that responsibility. And I thought about it. Well, they all think she's guilty. I don't want to say it, but I'm going to go ahead and agree. Okay, she's guilty. But I didn't want to. But I gave in. And when I look back at it, yeah, I was wrong. I was naive. And I feel like you're a little bit like what I was like back then. You want to believe something. You got to be willing to look at things with a more open mind. Just because somebody says something about Palestine, don't get so locked in on it that you can't see anything else. Don't know. It's been 40 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop it here because I don't know what else to say to reach you. And if you want to fix this, then we need to deal with it, find out what was what, and deal with it. On the first video about the professor, I'm okay with letting that one go completely. I think both parties were wrong, might have been wrong. We weren't there, so there's no way for us to know. So I'm not going to be so stubborn to say, no, he didn't do anything wrong. Because he could have. So I'll let that one go. But on the girl, I'm not going to let that one go. Now, when I asked you, what should I do to find out who's right and wrong? You would never tell me. When someone says I'm wrong, I entertain the idea I could be wrong, but I want to take it to several people. And if everybody says I'm wrong about it, then I'll really entertain the idea that I could be wrong. But if somebody agrees with me, then we need to see if you're the one that's wrong. Now, now, after the fact, after things have been said, with what you've said, when you told me to look for more stuff, and I found 2 more things, and the second one doesn't matter because it really wasn't saying anything, but the one, she wrote a letter back to the school. In that letter, if he had baited her, if he had trapped her, if somebody had baited you and trapped you into saying something, wouldn't you want to clear that up? Well, she didn't. She didn't say anything about it. She didn't say, he tricked me. That's not what I believe. No, she didn't. She just was mad at him for being on campus. She didn't like him. She didn't say anything that he tricked her or she didn't believe that. She didn't even confront it. So if you use critical thinking, this is a mystery now. What was she really saying? Because you're saying this and I'm saying this. So and this isn't much critical thinking, it's a little bit. But if she wasn't guilty of it, she would have tried to clear it up. Everybody would do that. But she didn't, not at all. So I still think she meant it. I think that's what she really wants in her heart. Whether he baited her or tricked her, he got out of her what she really had in her heart. That's what she really wanted. That's what she really believed. So if he tricked her to get to the truth, then okay. As long as the truth came out. And I'm pretty sure it did. But I think she was willing for it to. Anyway. That one, I think you need to take it to other people and show them the video and ask them. That's the only part that matters to me now. We got past the Hitler part, the MSA, the Muslim Brotherhood thing, that I don't have anything about any of that. The only thing that I care about that video is her wanting all the Jews to die, saying she's for it. That's the only thing that I care about that video. So I would say you need to show other people and ask them what they think to see if you could be wrong. And then if you are, you need to be willing to admit it. What was the other thing? There's one more thing. Getting old. Well, if I come up with it, I'll address it. Oh, about the text that you screenshot and sent to me. I really would like you to go through that audio. Yeah, it's 11 minutes something, but I explain what I said. And if you can't handle that, then what are we doing? So you need to decide if you trust me or not. Because honestly, if you can't trust me, then we can chat here and there if you want, but we can't be deep friends. We have to be able to trust each other. And you really need to be able to work on accepting that you could be wrong about something when you feel like you're not. I'm just saying. I really think you need to work on that. And if you're not willing to, I don't like that. I can't deal with that. You have to be willing to accept that you could be wrong. That's all I'm asking, is for you to analyze yourself and be willing to understand that you could be wrong. Anyway, that's all I got. Sorry.